This is the first lesson for students in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's English Grammar 2 course. This course is intended for students who have completed English Grammar 1 or who are older and simply want to get started with a more advanced grammar class than that first course, which is intended for younger students. In this first lesson, we're going to introduce the concept of grammar itself, talk about what grammar is, why it's important, and get started with our first lesson. All right? As I said, this is Grammar 2. Now, even though it's the second level of English grammar, it includes everything from Grammar 1. So we're not starting at a second level and assuming you already know everything in Grammar 1. We're starting from the beginning again, but we're going to move through it more quickly and with more depth than we did in English Grammar 1. As we go through this lesson, we're actually going to define grammar towards the end of the lesson. So we're going to discuss a few important issues first that will lead us to understand what grammar is and why the study of grammar is very important in your studies. First of all, when we were created by God, we were created in the image of God, and God gave us the ability to know and to reason. This is one of the greatest powers that we have as human beings, and which separates us from other creatures. Other creatures may know things. Other creatures have instincts that were created in them that cause them to do what they do according to God's will. But man was made differently. Man was given the power to reason. And we were also given a combination of senses and mental abilities that allow us to think and reason and communicate in ways that no other creatures can. In the study of grammar, we want to learn about these things and learn how to use them, learn how to master the use of them so that we can communicate as well as possible. Now, the first set of tools that God gave us to allow us to learn are the 5 senses. And most of us know about these because it's natural and simple for us to learn by the use of our senses. Even animals do this. All right, the 5 senses that God gave us were seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, and feeling. Those are the 5 senses. They're 5 tools that we use to learn about things. Of these 5 senses, the most important is seeing. We like to see things, and we consider something to be really known to us when we've seen it. We'll say, I need to see that for myself. And we talk about seeing as the ultimate test of whether something is true or not. Seeing is the most important sense. Then we have hearing. Now, hearing is interesting because it allows us to become conscious of things that we can't necessarily see. Think about how many people are afraid of the dark. And they're afraid of the dark because they can't see things. They feel like they're unable to protect themselves because they can't see what's in the room with them or what's in the woods with them. And when we can't see things, then we rely on our hearing to learn about what's around us. We can hear sounds and noises. We can hear someone coming. We can hear in animals in the woods, things like that. When we can't see, hearing is sort of our second sense that we rely on to learn about things. And then we also have feeling, which is very important. We can be in a place where there's no light, we can't see, we can't hear anything, but we can feel things. We can feel the temperature of the air change. We can feel pain. We can feel something is soft or something is rough. Feeling and touching is another sense that allows us to learn about things. Then we have smelling. We often use smell to tell when something is wrong because we can smell something is burning, for example. We can't see anything burning, we don't hear it burning, but the first sense that comes to us of that problem will be the smell of something burning. We can also smell good things. We can use smell to identify different people. You can smell someone's clothing and tell who it belongs to. We hope that that's a good smell, but it can also be a bad smell. But smelling is another sense that we have, another tool we have to learn about things and to know about things. And then we have tasting. I can put a blindfold over your eyes, and I can put a piece of food in your mouth, and you can tell me what it is. You could tell me if it's a piece of meat, or if it's a tomato, or if it's an orange, or a piece of apple. The sense of taste allows you to know things. Now, we don't only use the senses to know about things, we also use them to learn and gather information. So we're always sensing things. Just think about it. We're always seeing things and hearing things and feeling things and smelling things and tasting things constantly. Every hour of the day, all the time that we're awake, our body is constantly using the senses to learn about things. And our mind is receiving all of this information from our senses at all hours of every day. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, how busy our mind is, constantly sensing things. Now, when we sense something, this is called perception. We perceive something. Perceive is the verb. Perception is the noun. We perceive something when we learn about it by the use of our senses. So anything that we can sense, anything that we sense, we perceive. All right? Now, we know about many things that we can't perceive or have not perceived. We are conscious of things that we have perceived, but we're also conscious of things that we have never perceived or can't perceive. Things could be invisible, for example, like a spirit. We can be conscious of the presence of a spirit and yet not perceive it. We can be conscious of things that other people have perceived because they've communicated those things to us. So we can be conscious of more things than we can perceive or than things we have perceived. So consciousness is greater than perception. We're conscious of more things than we have perceived. Now, when we think about things in the world, objects are any things that we may perceive or be conscious of. Objects are things that we may perceive or be conscious of. We can make it even simpler than that and say objects are any things that we may be conscious of, because being conscious of things includes perception. Okay, but the definition that we have in our grammar lesson is objects are things that we may perceive or be conscious of. Right? And what's important is to see that objects are things that exist outside of our minds, outside of us. Objects are things outside. They're the actual things that God created that exist outside of us. Okay, that's an object. Anything that may be perceived or of which we may be conscious is an object. Now, what our mind does through consciousness and through perception is forms mental images of these objects. And remember, these objects may be sensible or they may be insensible. They may be things we're conscious of but have never perceived. But our minds form mental images of these things. And it's very simple to learn what an idea is. Do this. Close your eyes and think of an ocean. Think of an ocean. Have a mental image of an ocean. Imagine the ocean. That image that you have in your mind of the ocean is an idea. Now, you can even begin to think that if you've been to the beach and have been in the ocean, you can maybe remember what it smelled like, what the salt water tasted like, what it looked like, what it sounded like. You can remember all of these different details if you've perceived them. They can all be part of that mental image. But if you've only seen a picture of the ocean and you've never been to the ocean, you've never perceived an ocean, you've only seen a picture, then you can only have an image of those things that you've perceived yourself, unless more information is shared with you and you're told about them by comparison. Now, that mental image that you have is called an idea. So The object is the ocean itself. That's the object. The mental image that you have of the ocean is an idea. Now, as I said, that idea may be of an object that you have perceived or of an object that you have never perceived. Now, we learn and share ideas using words. We can become conscious of things that we've never perceived because others can share their perceptions and share their ideas with us. And we normally do that using words. We can do that in other ways. We can do that in pictures, for example. We can draw things, paint things, and use painting and drawing to share mental images with others, to share ideas. And so we can pass an idea or try to pass an idea from one person's mind to the mind of another person by art, by drawing, by painting, by sculpting, or any other art. That's really the goal of the fine arts, is to share ideas in different ways. But in our studies, and as human beings, the normal way that we share ideas is by the use of words, by speaking, by writing, and by reading. The use of words is how we share ideas. So we attempt in communicating to share an idea from our mind with another person and try to transfer that idea to their mind. Now, we do this by the use of language. Okay, language is the use of words to share ideas. It's just that simple. Language is the use of words to share ideas. You can think, if you have an idea or an image in your mind and you try to share it with someone else, it's not easy to do so because the image that you have in your mind may have lots of details. For example, to stick with the ocean, let's say that you took a vacation to the beach and spent a week playing in the water, swimming and playing in the waves in the ocean. You remember what it smelled like, what it sounded like, you remember what it felt like. You have all of these memories of things that you perceived while you were in the ocean at the beach. And you come home from that vacation and you get together with one of your friends or grandma and you want to share those ideas with grandma or with a friend. It's difficult to share that exact idea with another person, especially if that person has never been to a beach or seen an ocean before. It's very difficult to share all the details of that idea. You may find that you don't have the language skills that you need to be able to share those ideas well with other people. And that can be a real frustration. That can be a real problem in your life, that you don't have the ability to share your ideas with other people because you don't have the language skills that are needed to do so. The goal of the study of grammar is to build up our language skills, to master the art of speaking, writing, and reading well, so that we can share our ideas with other people, and also so that we can learn the ideas of other people. That's the purpose of grammar. We want to learn how to express our ideas in the best way possible with all the details so that we can communicate ideas that we have with other people. The study of grammar, just to give you the definition out of your lesson, we learned grammar treats of the principles and usages of language. Grammar treats of the principles and the usages of language. Now what that means, principles are basic rules that we follow to communicate well with other people. Usages are phrases and expressions that are used to communicate that may not have a clear meaning unless we actually learn what their meaning is. Usage. So there may be phrases that our society uses to communicate ideas, and if you don't learn them in our society, there's no way for you to understand them. So grammar treats of the principles and usages of language. Okay? Language allows us to share ideas through words. The exact definition from your lesson is language is the expression of thought by means of words, and it may be either spoken or written. Language is the expression of thought, the sharing of ideas by means of words. And then grammar is the art by which we learn the principles and usages of language. So this study of English grammar is the study of the principles and usages of the English language, which is our native language and very important to us. All right? To continue in this lesson, let me just scroll down on this page here. We learned that English grammar is the study of the principles and usage of the English language. And we learned that there's 4 parts of grammar. And this is not just 4 parts of English grammar. There are 4 parts of grammar as a study in any language. The first is orthography. The second is etymology. The third is syntax. And the fourth is prosody. Now, as we go through these 4 parts of grammar, we're developing greater and greater powers of language ability. We're developing greater and greater skills in communicating ideas with words, which is the purpose of grammar. In orthography, we start at the beginning and we learn how a language is expressed by means of letters. And we learn the sounds of a language so that we can communicate things clearly in speech and that we can also write things accurately. So spelling, for example, is studied in orthography. If you want to share a word, you have to be able to spell the word correctly. And then with speech, if you want to share words, you have to be able to speak and articulate words correctly in order to express different ideas. In etymology, your lesson says, etymology treats of the classification, derivation, and properties of words. So not only do we use words to communicate and share ideas, but we use words in different forms in different cases. Etymology is the study of different forms of words and how changing forms of words changes the ideas that they signify so that we can communicate more clearly and exactly when we use language. Syntax treats of the construction of sentences. When we have a complex idea, let's say we have an idea of a dolphin swimming through the ocean while we're at the beach. We have this idea that's complex. It's got different parts and they're moving and there's activity and there's sounds and there's smells. And we want to communicate this whole idea, this whole image, this whole scene to communicate it. We can't communicate that with a single word. We have to put words together to form a sentence that allows us to express a full idea, a complex idea. And we use sentences to express complex ideas. In syntax, which is the 3rd part of grammar, we learn the rules and principles of constructing sentences so that we can communicate more complex ideas. And then the 4th and final part of grammar is prosody. And in prosody, the definition in your lesson says, prosody treats of the quantity of syllables, of accent, and of the laws of versification. Prosody treats of the quantity of syllables, of accent, and the laws of versification. Now, what that's talking about is even if we learn to make excellent sentences and can communicate complex ideas with words by the use of sentences, there still may be more that we want to accomplish in communication that simple sentences doesn't allow us to communicate. Maybe we want to try to move the emotions of another person. Maybe we want to try to say something in a way that another person can easily remember, or we want to put something in the context of music, something that we can sing and make more beautiful and make more moving to the people that we're talking to. We may want to do more with language than just communicate in sentences. We may want to add different expressions or forms to our language. And this is what we normally think of when we talk about poetry. And again, music really is just the sounds of instruments or of our voices, but the words of music are really just poetry. And this is studied in prosody, where we study language in greater detail so that we can learn to use language in creative ways to have more effects on the minds and emotions of people that we're communicating with. So grammar is the study of that entire art, that entire system of principles and usages of language that allows us, if we master it, to communicate more and more effectively and be able to share our ideas more perfectly with others, and also to receive the ideas of others more perfectly. So grammar treats of the principles and usages of language. In this course, we're specifically going to focus on the grammar of the English language. Grammar divides language into 4 different parts: orthography, the letters and sounds; etymology, the different forms of words and how words can be adjusted to have more exact meanings; then syntax, part 3, where we learn to form sentences to communicate more complex ideas; and lastly, prosody, where we go even further in our attempts to communicate complex ideas that may involve emotions and feelings, where we also want to communicate those feelings with those ideas. So those are the 4 parts of grammar, all of which we'll be studying in English Grammar 2. All right? And that's a lot of information. It's already over 20 minutes of information, but I think it's pretty clear what we're getting at here in this first lesson. We're trying to learn, especially as we grow up and become mature adults, we're trying to learn how to communicate ideas effectively, especially when those ideas become more complex and they need to be communicated with greater skill in language than we'll have if we don't study grammar. This study will teach us the principles and usages of our language so that we can learn, by mastering the art of grammar, to communicate more and more complex ideas more and more effectively by our language skills. So if you want to know whether the study of grammar is important, just ask yourself, is communicating ideas important? If communicating ideas is important, you're not going to be able to do that well unless you make the effort to study grammar. Because after all, communication is not about you, it's about others and communicating your ideas with others. And the only way we can do that is if we share a system of rules and usages in language that allows us to communicate complex ideas. Your studying that is your effort to be able to participate in that language and share ideas. Not only for you to share your ideas, but for you to be able to receive the ideas from other people, people who are wiser than you, who have more complex ideas than you have at present. In order for you to understand their complex ideas, they're going to communicate them to you in language, and you're going to need the language skills, the grammatical skills, to be able to receive their language, learn their words, and understand their ideas. So grammar is the foundation of all learning, not just in school, but outside of school. Without grammar, we cannot communicate complex ideas. And as we study grammar, not only will our language skills get better, but it will help us in every subject of study, in every area of life, whether it's school, business, religion, relationships. Any area of life will be improved by our ability to communicate ideas effectively. And that's what we study in the art of grammar. So these videos, I hope, just help to introduce the ideas and topics in the lessons. But after you've watched the video, you need to do the work of the student. You need to get to your lesson, you need to study and learn that lesson and master everything that's written in the lesson. If there's any time where you find that your lesson contains a different definition or more information, you should always give attention to the written lesson rather than the video. The video is just meant to help you, but it's time for you to study your lesson, master all of the information in that lesson, and then prove your mastery by completing any exercises or comprehension questions or assessments that are included at the end of your lesson. Your goal in every lesson is to earn perfect scores on your assessments. So you can take an assessment and not earn a perfect score, but that's okay because you can go back to your lesson, study some more, and take the assessment again and continue to pursue a perfect score. When you get a passing score, which is usually 90%, when you get a passing score, you can move on to the next lesson, but you should continue reviewing the lesson and retaking those assessments until you earn perfect scores on every assessment. Okay? When you earn a passing score on an assessment, you'll receive points on the leaderboards. And I encourage you to check out the leaderboards, get yourself on those leaderboards by earning points, and compete with other students who are in the same class as you are. Those leaderboards are meant to be a motivation and a contest to help motivate your studies. So use the leaderboards and compete with other students. It's good for you to compete and have a little contest, because not only does it motivate you to study, but when you compete and increase your points and get up on those leaderboards, it also challenges other students to work harder in the study. So get on the leaderboards, get your points up, work hard, study hard, pass those assessments, retake past assessments, get perfect scores on every lesson, and when you're ready for the next lesson, I'll be waiting with another video to help you get started. I hope that's a helpful introduction to English Grammar 2. I know there was a lot of information in that video, but you have time now to go and study your lesson and master it all at your own pace. Okay? I hope that's helpful. If you need anything, if you have any questions, contact me. We're always available to help. Use the live chat or the forum or send us an email. We're always here to help. Just reach out with any questions or comments that you have that you need help with. I hope that's helpful. God bless your studies.